Hi, welcome to the Modern Renaissance Show. Modern Renaissance Man Show, excuse me. My name is Ben Copeland. Welcome to the show. Anyway, glad you're here. We're trying to have some fun. Speaking of fun, here's one for the bands. I watched a commercial the other day and my wife sort of laughed at me. I jumped up out of my seat. Allman Brothers. Allman Brothers were playing Allman Brothers music for a menstrual cycle related product. Dwayne Allman rolled over in his grave. I could feel it. I immediately recognized the song, and I just, gosh, it was one thing to have, I don't know, the Nielsen song, "Me and My Arrow" 20 years ago with a car commercial, but Allman Brothers and menstrual cycle. Come on now, people. Let's just don't cheapen life.
It wasn't Whipping Post, was it?
No. Might have should have been.
Not things I'll never see.
Something else I've taken for granted. They're not behaving now. Dan, watch their mics. Anyway, something else not to take for granted is the National Guard. I find it interesting here. You hear talking about, let's don't let our soldiers go over and fight in the Middle East, but let's force them to come down and be around disease and crime and all this at the disaster areas. You never ever thought about that? These people, they have to give up their jobs and families and come down, and nobody really says thank you to the National Guard. They take them for granted. Don't do that. Don't take for granted the police and medic and the fire department. These are people who probably save your rear end when you're in time of trouble and when you're sick, and don't wait until it happens to thank them. If you see them out somewhere, thank them ahead of time. One of the things that I found interesting with North Carolina is, North Carolina is what they call a right-to-hire state. Do you know what that means? It really means a right-to-fire state. That means if they don't like you for any reason, they just kick you out the door, and that's it. And you sign an agreement, basically, when you start a company, that North Carolina is a right-to-fire state. So think about that when you get a job, that they can can you for anything. But then again, you can also probably sue them from anything, because if you don't like what they're doing and you're not blaming George, you can blame them too. Our theme, of course, going on for the next year and a half, 2 years. How much longer is George in?
Too long.
Too long. Well, we've had worse. Blame George. If your child doesn't go to bed when you need them to, your spouse is not doing what you would like them to, just blame George. If I'm speaking too fast for you to understand, that's my southern urban speech. You can blame George for that one too.
You're still enunciating much better than he does.
Thank you. I do well. I haven't been out there in the sun in the middle of Texas either. Anyway, we're glad you joined us, and with that, I'm going to jump over to a little bit more of the serious side of the show, what I call the soapbox. The issue I'd like to talk about tonight, it's controversial in many ways. I don't see why, but it is, and that's the idea of medicine and dental for everyone. I was just reading the other day. Now, we're shooting this in the 1st of September. And what I was reading was in August, 100 million people don't have dental insurance. 100 million people. I forget how many, it's close to the same number, don't have medical insurance. Why do these people not have any kind of insurance? I'm a proponent, as much as a lot of people don't like it, of socialized medical and dental services. I don't think this country should have people who cannot get medical and dental care. I think about the people who get right-sized out of our right-to-fire, right-to-hire state and find themselves with no insurance. Oh, they have the Cobras they can pay, what, $2,000 a month for? You know, if you got that kind of money, who needs a job anyway? So if you can pay for the Cobra insurance, you're really probably pretty well set. People get injuries, people get sick, people have teeth problems. Where do they go? Basically, they hurt, or they get them pulled out because, oh, we don't cover fixing them. Or how about the people that have special diabetes medicine they could use that would probably make their life better? Oh, we don't cover that either. That's not within our policy. You'll just have to do without and take something less. We need to have medical treatment for every U.S. citizen in this country. And if you're somebody who wants to be a U.S. citizen, that ought to be incentive to become one. So we should have, for me, my belief, socialized medicine for every U.S. citizen. You shouldn't have to worry about where you're going to get help. And that's the way I feel. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tripp and Jeff, and they're going to turn us out with some nice tunes.
Box sale and the clowns have all gone to bed. You can hear our happiness staring downstream. Footprints dressed in red, and the wind cries yesterday's life. Somewhere a king is weeping. Somewhere that king has no wife, and the wind cries traffic lights, they turn a blue tomorrow. Shiny emptiness down on my bed. The tiny island just sags on downstream, 'cause the life it lived is dead. And the wind screams, Mary. Well, the wind, if I remember all the names it has flown in the past, with its crutch, its old age, and its wisdom, it whispers now, this'll be the last. And the wind cries, Mary.
All right. Excellent tune there. All right. A little flashback there. Excellent. All right. Welcome back to the Modern Renaissance Man. I'm Ben Copeland. While Tripp and Jeff come over here and join us, we'll have some discussions. One of the things, we've got several things going on. We're filming this show in September 12th to be exact. You're probably seeing this show. Hopefully we're going to have this on the first Friday in October. September 12th, we're the day after the 5-year anniversary. We'll talk some more about that, of the bombing of the World Trade Center, with the airplanes hitting the buildings in the Pentagon, and those that lost their lives in the failed attempt in Pennsylvania. Another situation that happened this month that I wanted to bring to light on the show was somebody that I discovered, I think approximately about 8 years ago at midnight on New Year's Eve. My stepson wanted to stay up and watch this show about the 10 most poisonous snakes in the world. There was this guy that nobody had ever heard of. I had never heard of nobody. I mean, this guy had no TV show, nothing. This is a strange guy from Australia talking about the 10 most poisonous snakes in the world. And I brought it. And this is the one. This is from your. This is not for sale. This is from the library. You can check this out. This is the man, Steve Irwin. Just got killed recently. Doing a show about stingrays of all things. He's doing what he loved. Check the movie out. It's a funky movie. I don't know if you've probably seen this, Daniel.
I have seen it. Well, when you talk about the 10 most poisonous snakes, number 9 on that list is my ex-wife.
Okay. Anyway, I don't remember that one, but it was late at night.
She's the one with the big teeth.
And she's
the real ugly one.
And she's in Australia. Anyway, so the 11 most poisonous snakes. Steve Irwin. He's a great guy. I think he contributed a lot, I know, in our household, knowledge about animals. It's a big loss. A man at 44 years old.
It is a tremendous loss. I never knew how exactly the proper way to grab a crocodile to where I have to let into submission, but now I do it all the time.
Well, when I go to do it, I will call you.
Well, he explains it all on his show.
I know, it's such a funky movie, this sort of thing. So we have lost a big person, not just a TV personality. We have lost a neat guy, just a neat guy at 44 years old. At least he's doing something he loved. On that, we actually got a little audience here. Let's get our host cam going. And so for those of the people that hate me when they do this in the audience,
as far as you know,
as far as they don't see me. Well, I haven't received any hate mail since the first one. We got a few audience people out there, and we get the people and there they are. We got the control room this time. I see the waving. All right, the host cam. We still claim to have invented it. Somebody had a camera a year and a half ago, but they didn't call it the host cam.
Right.
So we can claim
we did it on tape first.
And, my director said, you need to make sure you get the mic in like that. That looks cool. I was like, that's why I do that. So it's actually a handheld camera. So here we are, and the people on the cameras who will hate me forever is the floor director, Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. And so y'all get to see yourself and say, gosh, I wish I'll never work that show again. Anyway, I like playing with it, so. And if you don't like it, blame George. We still blame George. That's our running thing. I got another movie here for you, Jeff.
Yes.
You will know this one, but this was a funky one. I decided to go back to something.
I'm still waiting for you to stump me with something.
Well, this is not going to be stumpers, but I always like to hear your comments on them, because a lot of times it's strange stuff about them.
One or two.
This is an oldie. This is from your local library. It's the best place to rent movies because they're free. The Beguiled.
The Beguiled with Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Wow.
If you have not seen The Beguiled, it is a movie. It is not for children.
I don't even think Clint talks about this film
I don't think he wants to admit this. It is a funky movie, though. It is a movie. It's sort of to the Civil War. He starts playing some women against each other, and they whack his leg off, buddy. They take it to him. Yeah. And
they don't put up with none of his
stuff. Not
at
all. And I think they end up burying him, don't they? They poison him or something?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It's a funky film. It's a very old Clint Eastwood film. It was... it was like right after the spaghetti westerns, not too long.
Yeah,
he
was still in that kind of vein.
So he was still one of those kind of lines.
And is that actually a DVD that you just held up there?
Yeah, that's a
Mr.
DVD.
Copeland? I don't know if I've ever seen you hold up a DVD before.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Really?
Yeah,
always those VHS tapes.
Yeah. They copy them over. So I got one for the next show though.
Okay.
So
all right. Okay.
Watch for the next show and see if I can stump Jeff.
Okie dokie.
And this is one I hadn't actually even seen, but I had to go and get it because I've been wanting to see it, but I hadn't even watched it yet. What we want to talk about some is that here we are, September 12th, 5 years, when people are finally starting to talk about 9/11. I'm sort of annoyed with this because I've been talking about it for 5 years, and I know people go, I just can't talk about it. And yes, it was a horrific thing that happened. But let's get off the Prozac and the Quaaludes and the Xanax and let's talk about it. It was a horrific thing. We got attacked. And that's not what, and I guess for the first thing I want to talk about is like, where were y'all at on 9/11, first off? And, I guess what was how did you hear about it? What was going down?
I was working out doing landscaping, and my birthday's actually 9/11. So I get back in the truck, and I have about 17 voicemails, which I assume is people calling to wish me happy birthday. And everybody's calling to see if I know about this. Of course, being out in the field all day, it took me basically all day to find out what had really happened. I was home before I knew the full story.
So what did you do with the rest of your birthday?
We went to a restaurant. My wife had already made reservations, and it's usually a place hard to get into. That's why we had reservations, and there were about 5 people there, and everybody watching the television. Right. The next night, I already had a gig booked. A friend of mine had gotten me the show, and I didn't want to cancel it. And it was the absolute, to date, the worst gig of my life. And I was in a club in Matthews, and again, there were about 5 or 6 people there. They were all in the next room at the bar watching the news. I played to an empty room for 4 hours. And I remember I use a little fan when I'm on stage. It has a squirrel cage around it that is 2 parts, and the screws vibrated out while I was playing. And the front of that squirrel cage fell off and hit the fan blades, and things shot across the room, hit the wall, bounced, made all this racket, and nobody noticed. Everybody was over there drinking and watching the news. I remember wondering if we'd ever be the same again. What I noticed, though, was that we were a united country over that for a little while. We didn't have political polarization. Everybody was an American. And one of the things that really disappointed me was after a few months, we got back to being us and them. I was sorry to see that happen.
Where were you, Jeff?
This isn't dramatic at all, but I had just stepped out of the shower and was getting ready to go to work when a coworker called me and said, Jeff Chester, someone's just flown a plane into the World Trade Center. And I'm, what are you talking about? And so I just immediately turned on the TV and was watching TV when the second plane hit and was just flabbergasted. I've lived all over the world. I've experienced all sorts of things, but nothing. I've experienced all sorts of natural disasters and lived through them. Earthquakes. The only thing I haven't experienced was a volcanic eruption. Nothing compared to this. And like Tripp said, I think everybody, most of the day, was just in a somber mood and glued to the television. So what you did? You going into work, or what did you? I went into work just long enough to tell everyone, go home. This is a time where we need to be with family. We need to be with people you care about, and try and figure out. Work was secondary that day. This was something on a much larger scale that needed our attention, and people wanted to know what was going on because nothing like this had ever happened before. It
was pretty outrageous for me. I know I was already at work, and that's when we heard the thing about the first plane hitting the World Trade Center, and they were like, well, nobody knew what size it was, and so there's sort of this speculation of commuter jet kind of thing. So we had the TV on. We had a big TV at the company I was at and the department I was in, and there was about 9 of us, sort of watching it. And I can remember standing there, and with the way the buildings were set, you could see the one that had been hit, and behind it was it number 1 or 2, which is ever the same. Yeah. And but you couldn't really see all of it. And I saw a plane cross, and then there was an explosion, and everybody's, it's blown up again. And I'm thinking, where'd that plane go?
Right.
Because I'm a pilot. So I just happened to pick up the plane. I guess that's why. That's the only thing I can figure.
Sure.
And everybody's like, what plane? I said, there was a plane that flew across. Where'd it go? It should have come across the other side. And that was sort of my legacy in a way of that I saw that plane come in live and hit the second tower. It was and I had people talking about, like, Ben saw the plane. I was like, well, that's not, I don't know if it's necessarily anything that I want to be known for. But anyway, so then right after that, I got in touch with my wife, and we were sort of talking about, I think, and found out about the Pentagon. And all I got thinking about was, okay, New York, Washington, Charlotte's a banking hub. If it's coming down the coast, guess what's next?
Right.
Okay, and the best girl goes to school downtown, Kate, and I decided I was going to go get her. So I took off, and of course the day to be out of gas. So I'm sitting there pumping the gas in, and I'm right over here off of Arrowwood and South Tryon Street, which is on direct flight path coming in to Charlotte Douglas. So I'm standing there, and I pump gas up, and I look up and I see these two lines for the two runways of planes. Usually they're spaced like 5 miles apart. Plenty of room, and being a pilot, I know what to expect. They were within a mile each as far as you could see.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not good, you know. So I boogied in the car, got down there, and she was in 2nd grade. And I walked in the door, and they said, "You here to get Kate?" Yes. You know, so I took her, and on the way home is when the buildings fell. And on that time. So when I got home, there's like, I didn't want to cut the I didn't want to shock her, you know, with all this stuff that was going in about attack and everything. And then when I finally cut it back on, it's about 11. It's like, they were gone. You know, that was it. I had a lot of mixed feelings, but like I said, there's a guy that, talking about the issue of coming together, and this guy that I worked with at the time said, the United States is probably one of the biggest dysfunctional families you'll ever meet.
So true.
He said, but it's like the idea, you go in and, like a police officer, you go in and dink with a dysfunctional family in the middle of a fight, and they'll all turn on you. And that's what happened, is that we have this dysfunctional country with a bunch of dysfunctional people. Somebody came in, what they do, they all bonded together and come out as a single family.
Yeah.
To, you know, standing up to help each other, ready to take on whatever the world had to offer, and came together bonded. Didn't take much longer though to get back to dysfunctionality.
Well, and a lot of that had to do with the administration, you know, who saw this, you know, turned this into a political event of, well, this is something we've got to do something about, but at the same time, I think the administration saw it as an opportunity to further what, you know, plans that they already had as far as the Middle East goes. Once it became clear that, you know, the attack came from the Middle East, and there were plans that the Bush administration already had on their desks as far as going to Iraq that had nothing to do with with
Yeah, but see,
and
and that's where, you know, I've basically been called bleeding heart liberal most of my life, and in many different fronts. But when I saw them killing children in Iraq with gas, I had no problems going over there.
Well,
You know, and I think, you know, personally, I think Bush is taking the heat for something that should have been done.
Nope.
Now, and we got a lame duck. United Nations. Let's just face it.
Hey, no question,
you know,
that it was an evil regime and something needed to be done about it. But the manipulation that the Bush administration put into play of using 9/11 and still using 9/11 5 years later as their rallying cry, well, you're either with us or against us. You've got to be behind what we're doing because we are fighting this evil all over.
I don't agree with the strings of with us or against us. I'd go with you there.
But that's what he said.
We're democracy.
I don't agree with it either. But you know, the people that have been vilified and crucified for saying one bad thing against the administration in regards to 9/11, it's just ridiculous. It's insane. This country was built on being able to speak out what you wanted to say. But the flip side, also, I see on some of that, Jeff, is that I have this certain set of people who's like, you know, we just need to sit down and talk. I'm like, these people don't really want to talk. No, they
so
don't.
Let's don't go that extreme either. So you get the other extreme, and you know, and for this, you know, if we just sit down and talk to them, like, you know, how do you talk to an Adolf Hitler?
Yeah, that's not going to work.
You know, they don't
agree
care
that's
to.
not going to work, but just the way it's been manipulated, the whole situation, and it's something that is still in our psyche. And I bring it.
We'll just beat it up. We're going to take off around you here.
I'll bring this up because I was in New York City last summer, and some friends of mine and I went up to the top of the Empire State Building, and there's the normal group of tourists up there, people taking photos and all this stuff, and I'm telling you, when a plane went overhead, every single person on top of that building tensed up.
Oh yeah, I bet
instantly tensed up, and everybody's looking up. And this is a plane that's thousands of feet above us, but you could hear it and you could see it, and everybody up there for that instant was just like, and then everybody just kind of nervously laughs. So it's something that is ingrained in our psyche and is going to be for a long, long time.
Well, Chip, we just sort of just blew owned by you. I guess
Sorry,
anything
man.
else you want to add?
I was out of opinions, man.
I'm holding back
I'm
too.
good.
You know me.
He is.
I'm really holding back.
Well, anyway, and to think that I even had the audacity to say y'all think y'all could talk about this subject.
Well, and I didn't mean to turn it into a political rant against
That's
the
okay.
administration
That's
because
okay.
it's a horrible thing, and what we should remember are the lives that were lost. And I have.
Well, the thing I don't want to lose track of on my closing is that, and I've heard a lot of these conversations, like I heard it last night. It went from we got blowed up to it's George's fault.
Right.
Now I don't want to go that too far.
Me neither.
We got blowed up.
Right.
let's make sure we don't forget that part.
Right.
We did get attacked by people, and let's don't turn around and say now everything is George's fault again, because we know the reality. Secret Service and all them people have been messing up for years and years, and not just with him.
Right.
That maybe something should have been done, maybe wasn't. We did get attacked first, so let's keep that. I just want to lose sight of that. And with that, I want to get the last word. So what we're going to do is we're going to wind on out for this show, and I'm sure Jeff and I will beat it out some more later. We're going.
Cameras off.
and we're going to wind down. They're going to take us out on some good tunes. As always, I want to thank my volunteers on that note. I want to thank my volunteers for helping put this show on. Without them, it just wouldn't happen. Dano, you're the man, my director. Dean doing the audio. Jennifer managing the green room. Appreciate that. Kate Copeland, my best girl. Roman host cam operator. And you'll be seeing some more of that coming up this quarter. Stay tuned. I'm Ben Copeland, the Modern Renaissance Man. Thanks for joining us.